Here's your workout of the day for Thursday, typically known, I shouldn't say typically, but commonly known as the off day in the CrossFit world. What you've got is 20 V sit-ups, 25 sit-ups, and then 30 crunches. The crunch is something that I don't see in very many programs, another one of those that I like to throw in there that completely throws off people who are just new to doing the workouts on the program. But what you've got here is something more common. It's the V sit-up followed by the sit-up. Here, and I have quite a bit to talk about when it comes to core movements, and this is generally something that I would program as an accessory piece. Today is the workout of the day, or the Metcon, or the WOD, whatever you want to call it. But when doing sit-ups, standard being touch the ground up and over your head, touch up and past your toes. Alexis is already having a little bit more challenging of a time than I am, but every dog has his day. It'll give me a hard time in a second or two. Here's the deal with this. It's something that I tell everybody, and it's very much in the same heart, nature, realm as kipping. I'm kipping my sit-ups, right? I'm using my arms quite a bit. You do the same thing when you do a GHD sit-up. You don't see anybody doing strict GHD sit-ups, and it wouldn't really make sense given the standards of the GHD sit-up. But when you're doing sit-ups, people on the outside will see it, and they'll be like, what? But then I'll always reference the workout. I think, is it Angie? 50, 40, 30, 20, 10? I don't think it's Angie. What's the one with the double unders and the sit-ups? I hate that I can't remember it off the top of my head. Somebody will remind me in the comment section, or maybe I'll remember it after this is entire done. Is it Annie? Anyway, I think it's Annie. You're doing it, and you got 150 rapid fire sit-ups. And for just about everyone, except for the tippy top, you're going to feel that the next day, given the fact that you're going as hard as possible. And in the notes of the workout, you're going to see that it's prescribed that you go as unbroken as possible over the course of this. And you'll see that that first round took me a minute 46. None of the other ones are going to even be close because of the nature of trying to go as hard as possible from the onset. It doesn't matter like that you're kipping, whether or not you were doing them strict. And it's part of the part that kind of gives me pause when it comes to the majority of people in the world. I could probably talk about how I probably should have done a little bit more of a warm-up for my core, or maybe even like a couple of warm-up V sit-ups, because that hit me like a brick wall. Everything just hurts in there. But anyway, when you think about like the bodybuilding world, they're like, why are they kipping their pull-ups? Or maybe even just the world in general, when they see CrossFitters doing kipping pull-ups, they think that they're making them easier, but you're really allowing yourself to do more. And for people who have done 20, 30, 40 unbroken chest to bar pull-ups, you have to have the requisite strength to do that. I'm preaching to the choir with that one, but also when you do a workout with 100 chest to bar pull-ups, you're going to feel it in your biceps, you're going to feel it in your lats. I would be shocked to hear people who have the capacity and not like a crazy amount of volume built up in the tolerance to those movements who don't feel them the day after you do something like a 17.5 or 18.5, the one where it's 9 to 33 or 33 to 9 down by 27, 21, 15 of the thrusters and the pull-ups. You're going to feel that. That's 105 chest to bar pull-ups when you're doing it like that. And you see I've already slowed down drastically. And that's the same sort of thing that'll happen on a workout like Andy. I'll say 3, 2, 1, go. As fast as you can, 50 double unders, 50 sit-ups. And some people will blow through the set of 50. Some people will blow through the set of 40. Some people. But usually it's in that set of 40 where even if you're like really using your arms, you're kipping the crap out of your sit-ups, you're going to slow down. It's going to hurt. And you can see during this workout where we got the V sit-ups, it gets progressively more simple, which should in theory allow you to keep going as quick for as long as you can. But it's going to slow everybody down. I've got pretty good tolerance in my midsection. This flexion of the trunk, I've got pretty good tolerance to it. I do all the accessory pieces, and you can see it's hitting me like a brick wall. And at which you would scale this with something like, hey, instead of going 20, 25, 30, you go 15, 20, 25, or maybe you even go 5 V sit-ups. You do them as good as possible. You do them as quickly as you can, and then you can do 25 sit-ups and 30 crunches with a minute rest. And the entire caveat to this whole thing is that you have the 10-minute time cap, you've got the 9-minute goal time. It's really something, if I'm being entirely honest, I did not think that I would come up against. But I also kind of underestimated the crunch, which is something that I haven't programmed in a bit. I haven't done it a bit, and it is entirely under-recognized. Here's the standard of the crunch. You have the standard of the V sit-up. You know that you're supposed to have, this is the wild thing of quarterfinals as of 2023, the heels above the knee, and you're supposed to be able to touch the tongue of the shoe or something, and everyone's got their, I'm trying to stay as straight-legged as possible to make them as hard as I can over the course of them, and they are also the first movement after the rest, so there should be no big deal there, but we're talking about the crunch. The only thing you're trying to do is get the upper back and the shoulder blades up off of the floor. You'll notice on the first round, I had the knees over the hips, and I was trying to touch my knees to my elbows, and that's a pretty good tactile thing. I believe they use it in like the standard that you will do at the grade school level when you're doing sit-ups. It's touch your elbows to your knees. They're crunches, and people knock out a crazy amount of them. But at this point in the workout, it burns like crazy. And like a couple of the other videos I've put up recently, I would challenge anybody who hasn't done a crunch in a while to try this thing out. It's going to blow your mind how bad you are. It's something that's really so simple. Get your shoulder blades off the floor. And in the long run, it's something that's going to help out your V sit-up. People don't think about this, but if you want to make your V sit-ups good, it isn't about doing like a buttload of GHD sit-ups. It isn't about doing a buttload of sit-ups. It isn't about doing really anything other than maybe crunches. Because when you're doing crunches, you're engaging the serratus, you're getting your upper back off the floor, and the more simply, more effortlessly you can get your upper back up off of the floor, the easier it's going to be to make contact at the top of the V sit-up. Whether or not the standard is heels above the knees at the top, or whether or not you're touching the tongue or the toe and your legs are straight, or whether the knees are bent, it will be easier the more simple and the better tolerance you have to keeping your upper back up off of the floor. Look at that. That is just a sight to be seen. Crazy. And what I'm doing there is I'm trying to counteract the crazy contractions that I'm doing in my stomach. It's also something that I'm going to do after the workout while I'm waiting for Alexis to finish. It's at this moment that I'm looking up the clock and I go, and I actually walked over to the computer to confirm. I'm like, I gave this thing a 10-minute time cap. I wasn't really worried about hitting the time cap. I thought it would blow it out of the water. But then I'm like, dang, I think it's 10. I got to make sure it's 10. It is 10. And now I got what's going to be 3 minutes and 11 seconds to hit this time cap. That's the beauty of a time cap. Now, all of a sudden, if there was any chance in my head that I thought I was going to slow this thing down, I'm going to think, how can I get through these V sit-ups as practically as possible, as quickly as I can, or I'm also going to set myself up for success on the sit-ups and then success on the crunches. It's something that I think I've heard Katrin David's daughter talk about, just kind of chunking the workout up and giving yourself these smaller goals within it. I think that having the time cap gives a whole bunch of people who do apply the idea of a time cap to their workouts the ability to construct goals mid-workout to keep them moving, to give themselves a better stimulus at the end of it. I mean, you'll acquire more work with those goals in front of you. I need to do this round in this amount of time. I know that round 1 was about 148. I know that even on my worst day, the only reason I can't do a round, theoretically about a minute slower, is because I'm being a little baby. They're just crunches. They're just sit-ups. I am kipping. I know it's pain that's slowing me down, and if the pain is the thing that's slowing me down, a minute should be plenty of time to like take a break here or there and still weasel my way through. And at the end of the day, you'll see that it ends up working. Alexis, on the other hand, she's getting her shoulder blades off the ground. She's got going. I usually smoke her on sit-ups. She hates doing sit-up workouts with me. And again, the standard of the sit-up, touch up over your head, whip your arms. You're still getting a crazy core contraction out of this. And what else can I talk about? I feel like I just did a crazy good 8.5-minute ramble. I don't know anybody who can ramble quite like that about something as simple as a sit-up for 8 minutes. Alexis is massaging her stomach, it would appear. I don't think that that's the best move. I really like the idea of flipping over and stretching out your stomach. I like the idea of, when you're done with the workout, really trying to open up the muscles that you have worked. I think that that's something very much missed in CrossFit, is the idea of a cool down, and a cool down being kind of massaging out and lengthening the muscles that you just beat the hell. So if you're squatting quite a bit, do some quad stretching. Who stretches their quads after a workout? Everyone always does those standing toe grabs before a workout. They do the world's greatest stretch before the workout. But just 10 to 20 minutes of, this is pretty dumb, being kind to your body after the workout is probably the best way to keep yourself healthy in the long run. Open yourself up after the workout. So as you can see, I'm like weaseling my knees back and forth, and it actually opens up pretty well. You might not think it because you haven't done it, or maybe you have much better core endurance than I do. But I had to take those breaks. I think I do one at 29. I wanted to go 24 to 30. I'm like, it's only 6 left. I can do 6 crunches, but I couldn't do 6 crunches. I'm laying there feeling bad for myself. I'm wondering what Alexis has going over here. She completes 16 of the total V sit-ups that are required within the time cap. She made a note of that. She wanted to get the contractions in of the workout. She didn't abide by the time cap. It's kind of hit or miss. She's usually pretty good at this. She's been working out with me. She's been on doing my workouts, my program since 2015, so about 10 years at this point. She understands like there are workouts where I need you to finish. I want you to abide by the time cap. And there are also workouts like this where she just wants to get the contractions in. She understands that it's not really for the intensity proponent of it. It was for me, but for her, she doesn't do very much of this. She's got the hip issue. She's kind of playing with her hip. One more thing I know I wanted to make a mention of this. As I'm waiting for her, something else very not commonly opened up and stretched from the CrossFit fitness people. The front of the shins, the tibialis anterior. So I'm just sitting on my ankles here. When I sit on my heels like that with my toes behind me, it's something that I picked up one day in yoga. It was when I was really into the competitive space. And I took a yoga class with this chick that I was dating. And other than the fact that I'm not a big yoga fan and I was sweating like crazy and I just wanted to hang out with the chick, I thought, and I took away the fact that I couldn't sit on my ankles. And I looked left and right, and there's a class of like 50 people in this hot yoga class. Hot yoga is terrible. Couldn't stand the sweating. It's like, why do I need to sweat when whatever? I couldn't understand, like, I was the only one person to 49 who had a hard time just sitting on their ankles. So I've made a habit of trying to sit on my ankles ever since, because I figure it's something that if all of them can do, then also the people who are attempting to be in the fittest on earth space should be doing as well. So that's what I'm doing there. And then I'll kind of superset it with like a hands out in front seal pose. Just yoga-ing. This is where I get my yoga in. There it is. Yogaing it up. Alexis finishes this thing up. I think she's about 13 or so minutes altogether. She got the contractions. We talked about that. I hope that you learned something in the course of this. The major takeaway is that sit-ups are hard. Sit-ups are hard for everybody. And the standard is throw your arms and do more reps if it's too easy for you. Or take a big old weight and hinge that thing across your chest and do some crunches with that. That's it. See ya.